That one consistent action each day will eventually bring up, rebuild the self-trust and the self-confidence, self-esteem, because you are not continuing breaking promises to yourself. If you keep that one promise, it will go into a compound effect.
Hey everyone, I'm Angeline Constantinou, and this is Her Unapologetic Voice. This podcast was created for women who lead but are done leading from apology. Here we have real, unfiltered conversations about boundaries, truth, and confidence. The kind of talks that remind you your voice is not something you find once, it's something you build. Every episode will give you something real to take with you, whether it's a boundary script, a reflection tool, or simply the courage to say what you really mean. So if you're ready to lead from your truth, not from approval, this is your space. Your unapologetic voice starts here. Well, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Her Unapologetic Voice, the podcast where we have real, raw, and empowering conversations that help women heal, rise, and reclaim who they truly are. I am your host, Angeline Constantinou, and today's episode is such an important conversation because we are talking about sobriety, healing, identity, and what it truly means to take your power back. Joining me today is Courtney Andersen. Courtney is a sober life coach, podcast host, author, and the founder of Sober Vibes and National Sober Day. She helps women quit drinking alcohol and not just survive sobriety, but truly thrive in it. In this episode, we're diving into Courtney's personal journey, the emotional side of alcohol use, healing the deeper wounds underneath it all, and what life can look like when women finally choose themselves. This conversation is honest, inspiring, and deeply empowering. So let's dive in. And Courtney, welcome to Her Unapologetic Voice podcast. It's so great. Honored that you are here to share your personal journey.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here today and to talk with you. And thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. And you know, this is a topic that is dear to my heart because there are so many women who, there's a lot of more women that I see who are drinking just to cover emotions. But let's talk about your personal journey first. What was life before sobriety?
Life before sobriety was pretty dark and I would say really, really lonely. I spent 10 years in active addiction with alcohol. Alcohol was my drug of choice. And from 19 to 29, that is when I was in it. So, it didn't start off for me. Drinking didn't start off for me like right off the bat that it was a problem. I don't think anybody goes into their relationship with alcohol being like, this is going to be a problem one day. But as time went on, it got darker and darker. Different years my drinking looked different, but over the whole span of that 10 years that I was in it, it definitely was a struggle. So, before sobriety, it was like I said, it was dark and lonely. Sometimes I think of that past version of myself from time to time, and I definitely feel some sympathy towards that version of myself.
Okay. All right. And at what point did you realize alcohol was no longer serving you?
I knew actually at 25. There was a night after drinking that I woke up the next day and said to myself, like, there is going to be a point in my life that I am not going to drink. I don't know when it is going to be. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I know I am going to be a person who lives an alcohol-free life. And so from 25 to 29, at that point of that night after drinking at 25, from 25 to 29, I then tried doing what you would call like the moderation game, right? Like I was not fully ready to give it up yet because I was scared to death. And if anybody's in that cycle right now and thinking that, like that is totally normal. So from 25 to 29, I put a lot of rules on my drinking, right? Like I'm not going to do shots this weekend. You better make sure that you eat, right? Like don't mix alcohols, only stick to wine or only stick to beer, or like, oh, cool, I got through 2 weeks of not drinking at all. Like, I don't have an issue. And then I was at 29, and it was a moment that it was a night that it was the last night I was working in the bar, and I was transitioning to full-time in the medical field. And so it was my last bar shift, and I went completely hammered, like I've done so many times before. And then the next day I woke up to a friend of mine who had spent the night, and she told me, she was like, you lost your cat and your boyfriend is really pissed off at you. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, it's fine, right? Then a couple hours later, that then boyfriend did come downstairs and let me know that I lost our cat Fiona. I had left open the sliding back door, the door to go outside. And I went out there to smoke a cigarette, left it open. Mind you, this is now the second time I lost our rescue cats at a night of me drinking. And that boyfriend at that time, we were living together. We were together for about 1.5 years. And he was like, listen, you can continue drinking, but I'm not going to be in this picture if you do so. So for 3 days, I laid in an awful, awful hangover. And it was really about a combination of a 10-year, it was a compound effect, about a 10-year of all that guilt and that shame and anxiety came crashing down at me at once, really. I mean, all of it, of looking at my actions. And I said to myself, if I found Fiona, I would give up drinking for good. And on that third day, I found her, thank God. And she is still with us today. So she's 14 and a half, and that boyfriend is my husband, and we have a 4-year-old. So, that's how it happened for me.
That's how it happened for you. See, the emotion, the struggle.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, people think that there needs to be like this big, huge rock bottom. And that wasn't even like this big, huge rock bottom for me. Like, it wasn't. I had done way, way, way worse. Right. But at that time of when the universe really, when it was my time to give up drinking, it just presented itself very differently. And I, at that moment of time, had to love other things, other people more than I loved myself, because I did not love myself at that time. That came within time of sobriety, because nobody who is at day 0 is like, really, like, I love myself, because there's so much damage that has been done with your self-esteem when you are in that active relationship.
Exactly. What was the hardest part about deciding to quit drinking?
The hardest part about deciding to quit drinking, it was the unknown. It's the fear. It's the unknown. It's like, who am I going to be? Right? Like, because I had this identity of like, I was the party girl. Everybody wanted me out and about with them, right? Until they didn't want to deal with me after midnight. So it was like, who am I going to be? What am I going to bring to the table? What is my world going to be like without drinking? So I think it was the fear of the unknown, of how I was going to live life without alcohol, because how I was shown, I grew up in a family where you drank alcohol if it was a bad day, a good day, right? Came home, decompressed, like how it was looked upon in my family. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything, even too in my active relationship with alcohol, my active addiction, it was very much all I knew how to do was work and drink. I didn't have hobbies. And alcohol was used as a coping. It helped me cope with feelings and all that. So yeah, it was just fear of the unknown, I think, was the hardest part.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I feel that many women struggle with that. So why do you think so many women silently struggle with alcohol?
Well, because I think it's used as a coping mechanism. There was a lot of us that were not shown how to properly cope, right? Like healthy coping mechanisms. A lot of us were not shown. A lot of us kids came from, there's trauma there. I do believe that there is a lot of emotional trauma that is done to children, especially from different generations, right?
Exactly.
So a lot of women who end up having problems with alcohol, it stems a lot from trauma. Or it stems a lot from you being conditioned in your family for being like this high achiever, like I was the good girl of the family, where I didn't, I made sure to be the yes person and whatnot. And then as you grow up, then it's like, then you become a people pleaser.
There you go.
Yeah. You get into very self-sabotaging cycles and addictions to that, right? So it really is. It's kind of where you came from, how you learned. And then plus too, with the situation with women that is not talked about a lot is that, but now it's starting to, women with their hormone health, okay? Because it is very much too, it's like if you have a child, you don't know what your world is going to be like until you have a child and what that really does on your hormones. So you have that hormonal shift after having a kid. You also then have that hormonal shift when you enter in perimenopause and menopause, right? So drinking during both of those times is only because you're so vulnerable, it's only going to make it worse for yourself. So, but with the perimenopause, it's then, because I coach a lot of women who are in that phase or past that phase, and they're like, I didn't even think about this, where putting alcohol, because it's such a toxic substance in your body, it's only going to make the anxiety worse. It's only going to make the depression worse, right? Like it is only going to age you 25 years sooner, right? There's a lot when it goes into women and alcohol, but it's the number one coping tool for women. And usually with women, if there is the alcohol addiction, it's now really talked about being on a spectrum of alcohol use disorder. Usually there will also be some type of eating disorder in there and shopping. So those three all kind of go hand to hand together.
Okay. And I'm glad that you explained that regarding the hormonal shifts.
Yes.
That happen in women. See, I didn't even realize it either. I mean, for me, I'm just like, when I go out, if it's not, it's like once a month, I'll have a drink and that's it.
Well, and you're normal. Like you would be considered a normal drinker, and I think that that's where it's like, you have one. I'm not a person where I'm like, nobody should drink. I'm a person where it's like, I have a problem. I can't ever touch alcohol again. And if another person wants to drink, fine. But the thing with where people get, especially of this high achieving woman, because they're functioning, but they're secretly dying on the inside, because then they're waking up with the shame and the guilt and all of that comes into the drinking cycle. Right. And that's what the difference is with people who have issues with alcohol and people who do not. People who do not have issues with alcohol, it's like you just said, I go out and I have one drink a month, and it's the next day you're not shaming yourself. The next day you're like, oh, why didn't I do that? Or why did I do that? Like you're not in that. So there are people who can drink normally, and then there's people who cannot.
Oh, there you go. See?
Yes.
And let me ask you this. Did sobriety force you to confront deeper emotional healing?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay.
Yes. But it didn't happen right off the bat. Like that first year of my sobriety, in August of 2026, I will have 14 years sober. So, but that first year of sobriety, I was just trying to make it like every day of just like waking up. My focus was just like waking up. I would say to myself, I'm grateful for not drinking. Right. And then after a year, it was like, okay, I can breathe. Like I did that. Right. And then the next year I started working more on adding on to a healthier way of eating and with exercise, because I never had that healthy relationship with that. And even before my drinking, I had eating issues. So, and like I said, for women, that's very, very, that addiction is very, very similar of the behaviors with it. So then I worked on really stepping into getting a healthier relationship with my body and whatnot. And then I will say the third year, this is where then I had to start realizing, and this kind of where emotional sobriety comes into play, of working on like, oh, this is why I drink.
See?
Like, where I was talking about like emotional trauma. I'm not ever trying to take away people's trauma, but there is trauma because a lot of people dismiss this. And there is when your emotional needs weren't met. And I came from two parents who my emotional needs were not met. I had two narcissistic parents. One who was functioning alcoholic with narcissism, and the other one who narcissism and mental health issues. You know what I mean? So like when I looked back at my childhood and growing up in where roles were reversed where, I was the parent to one parent and it was like they were the child. Like, so there was a lot of that I had to start unpacking. And so that definitely was year 3 of unpacking, where my emotional needs weren't being met and being very, very manipulated in my younger years.
There you go. And you know what? Community and support, how important is that? Like,
all I can talk, I mean, community and support with anything is like, it's completely different, but especially when it comes to this, because the thing about alcohol is so embedded and ingrained in our society, where it's like, you tell somebody you're not drinking, you're asked why. It's the only drug that you have to defend yourself for not using. Like if I was, like if I was to bring a bunch of cocaine to a party and just bust it out, people would be like, what are you doing? There might be like 1 to 2 being like, oh, this was great. But like majority of people would be grasping at their pearls and being like, what are you doing? Right. But with alcohol, it's like, oh yeah, you're not going to drink. What's wrong with you? So alcohol is the only drug we have to defend ourselves for not partaking in. I feel like I just went out of it. So the pressure of it is so much in our society that we really do. It's a whole different conversation of how alcohol is viewed.
Like alcohol in Europe is viewed as like social. Like it's a social thing, like for me, to be honest with you, I don't drink. I don't have alcohol in my apartment and I feel great. It's like I wake up every morning with so much clarity, because in the past I used to keep a bottle of wine at home. This is back in New York. And I would have like 1 or 2 glasses at night, but you know what? I just feel so much better now, not having it. So a special occasion, I will. Let's talk about your healing and transformation journey. So what changed in your life after becoming sober?
It was a 180. It was a complete 180. And just to go back to answer the question about support, because I don't feel like I answered that, but like with that, just real quick, because alcohol is so embedded and ingrained in our society, it's very easy to then say to yourself, well, everybody else is doing it. Or because there's so many more high functioning people in this world than there are quote unquote homeless people. Not every homeless person went there because of alcohol and drug use. So that's just what we have been fed into media. So the support and community is so helpful, because when people don't have that issue with alcohol, they don't get it. They don't get what it's like sitting there on a Friday night, like biting your nails, being like, I have anxiety because this would be the time that I was drinking. You know what I mean? So it's very good to have people around you who get it, to be like, yeah, I understand. But that's for anything, Okay, then going back to this one, which was my life has changed. It's like a 180. It's like I said, how lonely it was. And how dark honestly, if I didn't give up alcohol, I wouldn't have my son today. So I made one decision that held me back, because when you are in that active relationship with alcohol or any substance that you have a problem with, it becomes your world.
Sure.
You make decisions based off of, again, when I quit drinking, it was 2012. So like, we didn't have Ubers back then, but like, it was like, who was going to drive tonight? Like, oh, why? I don't want to drive. I don't want to leave my car somewhere. Right. You know what I mean? Like it's where are you going to go? You get this comfort level around you of just like the same couple places and hanging out with the same people, or to very much people who get isolated and just staying at home. So my world opened up like a million times when I quit drinking. I then started getting hobbies. I started to, again, it wasn't overnight, but work on my self-confidence and my self-esteem issues, because I had none. And that also stems back with trauma. When you have unemotional available parents, you get zero self-esteem from that.
Sure.
You get nothing, so it's like I had to relearn. I had to build myself up from scratch at 30 years old. It was like when you enter in sobriety, you enter in a new way of life, which is like a beautiful blessing, because you get 2 lives in one. And I'm sure you feel like this from your experience of your life, where you're like,
oh, absolutely.
There was me pre this year, and then there's me now. And when you're in, So my life has completely changed and evolved, and I still owe it. I will always owe everything to making that one decision in my life, because if I didn't, I would have still been doing the same old, and nothing would have changed, because nothing changed for so long.
Right, exactly. And how do women begin rebuilding confidence after years of numbing themselves?
That's a great question. And the answer
Okay.
is to not drink each day.
There you
That one consistent action each day will eventually rebuild the self-trust and the self-confidence, self-esteem, right? Because you are not continuing breaking promises to yourself. If you keep that one promise, it will go into a compound effect. And it's just like my one promise is, I tell everybody, like, you have to respect your sobriety. You have to put it at the first of like, okay, what am I going to do today to make sure I stay alcohol free? But it's that one decision, and just repeat it consistently. And I swear, in a difference of a year, you will be like, I don't even recognize myself from today to that, and then again, and then you start building yourself up, whether you need to go to therapy, you need to start diving into personal development. My third year, I dove into a lot of personal development books and started reading stuff outside of like a how to quit drinking, but like, okay, how do I then implement boundaries, right? Like, how do I deal with more anxiety? So it is really just then become that student of what you need to work on the inside.
Exactly. I love that. And what would you say to the woman who feels afraid to stop drinking?
That I understand what that feeling is like, and
Okay.
it's a hard thing to get out of. But what is on the other side of that? Like, you
Mm,
feel so low at that point. You're in this cycle, right? You know what I mean? It's like the only place you can go from there is up, because you and alcohol keeps showing you who it is
that's
when
right.
you ingest it, and it is not going to change. Yes, I'm sure 10% of the time of the drinking was fun. And that's why I embraced that side of myself, where it was like, yeah, I did have fun some nights drinking, but like 90% of the time it was not a good time, even if it was just the morning after of being hungover and then being in that shame spiral again. Like, it was not a good time. So I don't ever pretend like my drinking days didn't happen, because they brought me up to where I am today. And I won't pretend like something fun happened just because I was under the influence. But it's like, what is on the other side of that? And like, just give it a go. Give yourself an honest go of this and see where your life ends up taking you. A lot of
Exactly.
women that I work with, and including myself, it's like the one thing that I felt most after quitting drinking, after a couple months, because you got to give yourself some time, I felt free. And women that I coach will tell you that. They're like, I feel free. I'm not stuck in that back and forth cycle anymore. And like, where it's like, should I, shouldn't I? The shame, the anxiety, the guilt the next day.
Sure.
The me having to deal with a hangover for 3 days, and then I'm normal for a day, and then I'm back to drinking, and I'm in that cycle again. So there's like a freedom of giving alcohol up. So if you're scared, I understand it, but I mean, we only have this one life,
That's right.
you
You're
know?
100% right.
Yeah. So it's like, and everybody, deserves to feel good, and you don't deserve to feel that the way that you're currently feeling right now. You deserve to feel your
Exactly.
best.
Feel your best. Exactly.
Mhm.
And what role does self-awareness play in their healing process?
It's huge. And the thing with self-awareness and sobriety is, because some people will slip, and that's part of the process with some. Everybody has their own journey. But the thing with sobriety is you gain so much self-awareness of how you feel without alcohol. So if you were to slip and you go back, which it's okay, then you're like, oh my God, like, I don't want to be on this train. Some women need to go back to feel that, to realize how good they felt. So the
Okay.
self-awareness is huge, because in sobriety, when you've been doling that out for so long on a weekly basis, you don't have any clarity. So
Mhm.
once you get the clarity, it's a game changer. You can't ignore it, where you know what you felt like pre-sobriety, and then you know what you feel like after. But the self-awareness in this journey comes, like, it's like baby stepping. It kind of, it's like a dwindling effect. Like, it takes a while to get it, but self-awareness is huge. And Honestly, you have to work through your triggers. And when you know your triggers, that's more self-awareness.
There
So
you
you get to know yourself of like who I am now, you know what I mean? Like, so it plays a key role in healing. And like when to know, like, when do I need to rest? When do I need to protect my energy? You know, because a lot of people to drink because they want to be, because they're really introverted and they're trying to drink to be extroverted, but it just doesn't match, where it's like, then that
Right.
can be exhausting. So then your personality comes into play in this, and you really have to work with your personality and sobriety of like, you know, what's going to keep you alcohol free that day.
There you go. I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we're going to take a short break and we will be right back. Have you ever felt like you lost yourself somewhere along the way? Maybe through heartbreak, divorce, trauma, people pleasing, or constantly pouring into everyone else while forgetting you. My coaching program is designed to help women reconnect with who they truly are, rebuild their confidence, heal emotionally, and step into the next chapter of their life with clarity, purpose, and self-worth. So today we work on mindset, identity, emotional healing, confidence, boundaries, self-care, self-love, and creating a life that finally feels aligned with the woman that you're becoming. And if you've been feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or simply ready for more, I'd love to invite you to book a virtual coffee chat with me. No pressure, just a real conversation to connect, share your journey, and see how I can support you. Okay, we are back. Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about your mission and your movement. Courtney, tell us about Sober Vibes and why you created it.
Yeah, so Sober Vibes is an online community I created back in 2016ish, 2017ish, early on, and it was something that I heard and needed at the time. And when I heard, because I was participating in AA at the time in that summer, and I just listened to women, you know, what they were looking for other than just going to work and then going to a meeting. They were really wanting to go out and participate in life. And for me, early on in my sobriety, that is what I learned. I'm like, alcohol's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere, you know, and if not more, people are putting it in more and more places so businesses can make money. I understand that. I get
Right.
it. At that time, I remember being in Facebook groups of sobriety Facebook groups. And there was a time that I posted, because I was also trying to have a child at that time. It took us a long time to have a kid. I was venting in frustration, and I used the F word in my post, and because I swear, okay. And I remember this person telling me that's why God didn't give me a child, because that's the mouth that I had. And this was a women's only group, mind you. And yes, so there, it's like the judgment in that. And I was like, no, thank you. And I was in groups as well where there were dudes in it. And in this space, I truly think that men and women need to be separated, because there's trauma that women have. I mean, men have trauma from women too, but I just, like, from the women's point of view, is that not a lot of women are going to open up when there's that masculine energy in the room because of whatever might have happened from them. Also, too, in this space, there can be a lot of then predatorial behavior between men and women. So I just wanted it out. Like, you shouldn't, if somebody's a year, 1 month in their sobriety, like, let them be. Like, let's not try to date them. Like, just let them be for that time period, right?
Heal, because the only, and I'm glad you brought that out, because women and men in that case should be separated. And the same thing goes for domestic violence. It should be separate.
Yes. Are there DV groups where it's
I've
mixed?
seen men and women in one DV Facebook group. It doesn't seem to be an issue, but I have a support group for Facebook on Facebook for domestic violence survivors. It's all women. Yeah. And I even did a poll. I said, would you welcome men? The majority said no.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Because, and then the thing, Yeah, but the thing of it is too is like let's go back to the hormone talk. And this is what it's very different with men. It's like men don't experience that on a monthly basis for 30 years of their life,
There
right?
you
So
go.
like a very big trigger for women is being tired. And us women are tired not only on a daily basis, but on a monthly basis during that time of when you're about like a couple days before you get your period, during your period. Like men just don't get it. I wanted it to be separate because I felt like more honesty could happen. And that's what I also needed, a non-judgmental space. That's where I created it. And then it then evolved into me end up doing coaching and then my podcast and then National Sober Day and eventually my book that I wrote a couple of years ago. So it has evolved, but I've always specifically, I have coached a couple men in my career of this, but it's with women because men and women speak two different languages. Yeah. Right. And like it is like even the guys that I've coached has been fine, but it's just two different languages and like two different triggers.
There you
For
go. There you
Mhm.
go. Two different triggers.
Yeah.
Wow, what an empowering, powerful, and honest conversation. Let me ask you this because we're coming up to the top of the hour. What do women truly need more of right now?
What do they need more of right now? I think that women should get with whatever more grace and more non-judgmental and honestly not a lot of overwhelm. There's too much overwhelm nowadays, and that is why as you can open up Instagram and you're like, oh my God,
I,
I am tired after 5 minutes. Like this is
right.
too
I
much,
don't even
you know?
scroll on it. I mean, like I'll go on it, but over. It's
Right.
just
And
overwhelming.
right. And then everyone now is an expert at everything. It's just like, it's too much where it's like, even too, I see men talk about perimenopause and it's like, oh my God, you
Really?
don't, oh
Yep.
yes.
You don't know, right?
Right. So I just more grace and like it's just to with the overwhelm that it has to stop. I do a lot of my coaching from a place of like, I'm not overwhelming you this week. Like go take a nap, go rest, go decompress, go just turn it off for a minute because this is a lot different nowadays than it even was when I quit drinking. I mean, the world in the last 20 years, it's a different ball game, but there's a lot of pressure on women and then just more grace. Yeah.
So ladies, give yourself grace.
Give yourself grace, recognize that you're a human being having a human experience and it is not easy, but you have to pick going back to this conversation of drinking and the woman who's listening to this will know you need to pick the one thing. You don't need to pick 25 things to do all at once. The one thing that you should do today is if drinking is an issue for you, to not drink. Like I said, that first year, whatever I did to get myself through that first year without drinking, I ate the cupcakes that year. I didn't worry about my body. I'm like, if I'm going to I gained weight that year. I didn't care because I had to choose my heart. And that's the thing. It's like nowadays you're being told like, do these 5 things. It's like, no. Do the one. Get that down, build, and then choose the next one and add that to your day today. And then so on, so on, and so on. Just give yourself some grace.
There you go. I love that. I love that. Now, where can women reach you?
Yeah. So there's my website. It's CourtneyRecovered.com. Sober Vibes on Instagram, my Sober Vibes podcast. And then, my book you can find on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and it's Sober Vibes, your guide to thriving in your first 90 days alcohol-free.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so Sober Vibes is on Instagram, right?
Yep.
Okay. So
it's on Facebook too. Facebook and
Facebook. Okay, so what we will do, everyone, is we will post all the links in the show notes. Okay. So we'll post everything in the show notes. And I'm really, really happy for this wonderful, powerful conversation today. And we will get the Amazon link too for the book. So what an honest conversation today. And I want to thank Courtney Andersen for coming on to Her Unapologetic Voice and sharing her journey so openly and vulnerably today, because it does take a lot of courage to share your story. And I know that this episode is going to impact so many women who may be silently struggling, feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or disconnected from themselves. And I hope today's conversation reminds you that healing is possible, transformation is possible, and you are not alone. And if this episode spoke to you, please make sure to share it with another woman who needs this message today. And thank you all so much for listening to another episode of Her Unapologetic Voice. Until next time, keep rising, keep healing, and never apologize for becoming the woman you were created to be. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Her Unapologetic Voice. Every conversation here is meant to help you build confidence from the inside out and find strength in your own words. If today's message resonated, follow the show and share it with a friend who's ready to lead from who she truly is. You can also connect with me on social media at Her Unapologetic Voice podcast for updates and behind the scenes insights. Remember, confidence begins when you stop apologizing for your truth and start speaking from it. I'm Angeline Constantinou, and I will see you in the next episode.